Exclusively designed by Nixie Nax Arts, we bring you our second exclusive mat with the colossal Rainbow Neos taking on Red Eyes Dragoon, using both Dark Magician and Red Eyes alongside Elemental Hero Neos and of course Rainbow Dragon. Produced by Venom Battle Gear, this is an exclusive mat only available from their site. You can get this mat both with and without zones, and it can be shipped worldwide. What are you waiting for? Visit venombattlegear.co.uk to get your own exclusive Rainbow Neos versus Red Eyes Dragoon playmat.
What's up YouTube, Dal here from Zephyr War Games, bringing you Arkana's Dark Magicians. No, but what I mean by this is Dark Magician Dogmatika. It's a mixture that a lot of people have been working on, a lot of people have been looking into. So, first off, shout out to Christian Hernandez, who has got his own build ready to go for when we get the Magisters in December in Genesis Impact. However, working through the deck and looking on the concept of it for a long time, one of the biggest issues is there were so many clashes between the Dogmatikas and the Dark Magicians that it became a little bit difficult to kind of utilise in the right way. And what I mean by that is it was very difficult to get an extra deck monster on the board to make sure that Ecclesia was a special summon rather than a normal summon, purely because you want your normal summons to 9 times out of 10 to be Magician's Rod. However, in this particular build, the ideal end board is, instead of getting a load of extenders, losing 2k, going Verti Anaconda, going into Dragoons that route, and then backing up with an Eternal Soul and Circle, we're actually going for a route where we use, we get into Dragoon, and then we back Dragoon up with an Ecclesia, a Punishment, and a Philidius. So you're kind of giving in one aspect and taking away in another. But with this particular build, we actually work on all three aspects of it. So you can either get the Verte combo, you can summon Dragoon the hard way, or of course you can go the lighter route and go directly into Dogmatika plays and kind of save your Dragoon for the OTK during the next turn. With that said and done, please smash the like button, hit the notification bell, and subscribe so you do not miss out on any more Yu-Gi-Oh content from us here at Zephyr War Games. Now, let's get started with Dogmatika Dark Magician. I try to do a Dark Magician profile for you guys at least once a month, just to give you an update on where I'm going. Right, so as this is the Arkana version, this is a lot darker than the normal Yu-Gi version. We do play triple Dark Magician Arkana art. The reason I went with this is I kind of saw this as less of a Yu-Gi build and more of something Arkana would have put together. So I went with the Arkana Dark Magicians just to kind of fit the style. And then to kind of match that, I went with the one Red Eyes Black Dragon, but the darker version that came out in Legendary Collection 01. So yeah, this is just something that I thought would be a nice little twist to put on the deck and show you a different version. We do play triple Magician Souls. Now, this is actually used less to help prompt the Dogmatika engine itself. Like, I mean, it can always help to draw into them, but it can be used to put Dark Magician on the board. It can be used to also help extend a little bit as well. And one card that I would recommend possibly putting in the extra deck is Link Kuriboh, because the idea is you can Magician Souls, draw a card, and off you go. You can also put Eye of Timaeus in here as well. With Eye of Timaeus, if you open up with Souls and Dragon of Keeper Magic, you can actually end your board on 2 Fusion Summon monsters from the extra deck, which is quite nice, especially with Harpy's Feather Duster running around, that you could technically turn the Dragon Knight and Dark Magician into Dragoon, and then you send Souls, bring back Dark Magician, Eye of Timaeus, go into the Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, to protect your back row. So that is something you can put in here. Again, I'll show you a combo at the end, and I'll also show you how this goes and how it works. Triple Magician's Rod, this actually takes a back seat in this version, but with this version, if you open up both of them, if you open up a Dogmatika, then you go with your normal summon of Keeper of Dragon Magic. If you don't open up a Dogmatika, you go with Magician's Rod. So that's the technical route that I would suggest you guys go. But the idea of Keeper of Dragon Magic is it does get you into, or it does allow you to get into your Dragoons without locking yourself out of special summoning with Verti Anaconda, and then allows you to play the Dogmatika engine itself. So it's whether you want a risky Eternal Soul with Circle, which of course can be destroyed by Harpy's Feather Duster, Cosmic Cyclone, MSTs, Twin Twisters, can be disrupted by anything that removes Dark Magician from the graveyard, stuff like that. And then we've got the One Apprentice as an extender and as a boost. And now it does protect all dark spellcasters, so keep that in mind. Then, of course, we move on to the Dogmatika engine. We've got triple Dogmatika Ecclesia. This, of course, now, this is the only thing that I disagree with Christian on. Is Christian says, like, in his current build, that you just special summon Ecclesia and don't use her effects, so you don't lock yourself out of the extra deck. Now, to me, personally, Ecclesia, there is no point in special summoning Ecclesia not using her effect unless you plan to make rank 4s. Like, if I just want to special summon a monster, I'll play Jester Conflict. But that's my personal opinion anyway. But with Ecclesia, of course, she can get you into the trap. The trap is incredibly powerful. And then she can also get you into your Dogmatika Philidius, the Knighted. Now, I play 2 Philidius. You can play 1 and 1 Maximus. But what I kind of found is, particularly with this run, you're not putting cards into the extra deck. So with Keeper of Dragon Magic, you're not being able to put a card from the extra deck into the graveyard. So unless you open up Nadir's Servant, you're not able to fulfill Maximus's plays, and then Maximus then gets further play. So the way this kind of goes, or what the route you want to go with, is if you open up Nadir's Servant, you send Titaniclad, you get Ecclesia, you special on Ecclesia because you've got Dragoons on board. Ecclesia will then get you Punishment. In the end phase, Titaniclad will then get you Philidius. Now, that kind of sequence of plays then allows you to have a Dragoon negation, a Philidius non-target negation, and a punishment which could technically turn out to be a double pop. If you wanted to, you could put the Shadow engine into the extra deck as well, but again, the issue I had with that is in order to fulfill that to its maximum potential, you did need to open up Nadir's Servant, which is easily doable considering that you've got Dark Magicians in the grave, and you've also got like Magician's Rods and Keeper of Dragon Magics, so it is something you can add in as well. Moving on to the spells, we've got triple Nadir's Servant, of course, insanely powerful. You've got to make sure that you do this last because obviously it does lock you out of the extra deck. So this is only once you've got your Dragoons on board, or if you can't get Dragoons on board, you've got this as another starter. And this at the very least is Ecclesia, Philidius and Punishment. So then you've still got your normal summon, should you've got a Rod or you've got a Souls or anything like that. So it still gives you more to play around with. You've just got to be very, very careful on the timing that you use this card out and how it works. But it does give you a bit of versatility. We've then got triple Allure of Darkness. Now, with this one, because you've actually taken out a lot of your Dark Expenders and put in a lot of light cards, it's not as consistent as it once was. So this can easily be Pot of Desires. It can also easily be, if you wanted to and you found the right space, it could be the Chaos Engine. Because what works with this so well with the Chaos Engine is the the White Wyvern and Black Collapse are dragons. So they're dragon effect monsters that you can get to the graveyard, and then the idea would be is rather than going for your Red Eyes Fusion, so this is an option in the future should Red Eyes Fusion get banned, what you can do is you can use one of your Black Collapse or your White Wyvern, turn that with a normal summon of Magician Rod or anything like that into a Verti Anaconda. So when you look at the Magisters coming out in December, what you could do is you normal summon Rod, Rod searches Circle, Circle excavates whether you plus or not. Rod then goes into the Magister Link 1, you then get to banish Rod to special summon White Wyvern plus the Magister Link 1 goes into Verti Anaconda, you then get Black Collapse back, you can then summon down Black Collapse, do whatever you want, and then the one thing that the Verti Anaconda can do is if you get a Dark Magician to the graveyard, is Verti Anaconda can send Magical Eyes Fusion rather than Red Eyes Fusion, meaning that you don't have to run those 2 additional bricks. Then we've got Soul Servant. Now, one card I am actually really considering putting in this, less so in this version, but more in my pure version, is the Palladium Oracle Mana. Because you are consistently getting Dark Magician to the graveyard, it's not the end of the world to send Palladium Oracle Mana to the graveyard with Magician's Souls. That then in turn basically means that your opponent is not going to Imperm you or Veiler on your Rod or your Souls. If they do, you're going to bring mana back, giving you an additional monster that can then go into Verti Anaconda, and then you're going to banish Soul during the end phase and draw 2. But the only time that the draw 2 is going to be worth it is if the draw 2 is going into Floodgate cards, Eternal Souls that you don't already have, or Destined Rivals. So mana is something I'll be considering putting in my pure build, but in a particular build like this where I'm not always going to guarantee to get the Verti Anaconda combo off and I'm going other routes, I'm not always going to pump my graveyard full of additional monsters. But yes, if you wanted to, off of Souls, Oracle Mana could come in. I think it's the more logical one out of the 3 because, again, it still serves the same purpose as Dark Magician Girl, Oracle Mana, and Mahad, in the sense that if you open them, it sucks. You don't want them in your hand. Luckily with this one, because you've got Keeper of Dragon Magic, you can ditch it and off you go. But yeah, the additional idea behind it would be that Dark Magician Girl offers nothing else to this deck. Apart from being a draw 2, it doesn't give you any graveyard effect, it doesn't give you any summon ability effect, it doesn't give you anything more. Whereas Mahad is, if you draw it, summon it. But if you don't draw it, you're not going to summon it, and it's very restrictive. Whereas Mana gives you a more defensive play over Mahad's offensive play, which is why I would suggest Mana over anything else. We've then got triple Dark Magic Circle, staple in all Dark Magician decks. I've gone with double True Name, purely because True Name can again add any card. Keep this in mind, it adds any card. So if you activate Circle and put the Dear Servant to the top, and you've got a True Name, you then get to add it. Now, I've taken out Obelisk just because of the space. I'm on 41 cards at the moment, and because with the Obelisk, it was more about having that additional monster, that additional extender to get into Vert Anaconda, and I'm not focusing on that right now, is the only reason that Obelisk isn't in here. But you can easily put Obelisk in here, should you wish. It is just one that would bump it up to 42 cards, or unless you find 2 cards in here that you're like, I really don't want to play those, and you take them out with ease. But yes, the idea of the True Name is literally Dark Magic Circle, stack any card in your deck, call it correctly, add it, done. So if you don't open up a True Name, but you open up Circle, and you don't open up a Nadir Servant, but you open up Circle and a True Name, Circle, stack Nadir, True Name, draw, done. Then we've got 3 fusion spells. We've got the 1 Red Eyes Fusion, the 1 Magical Eyes Fusion, and the 1 Polymerization. Magical Eyes Fusion, you're not actually only just going to do Dragoons. So keep in mind, Ecclesia and Philidius are spellcasters. What is it that we haven't been able to fully play properly for a long, long time? Quintet Magician, guys. Quintet requires 5 spellcaster monsters. If you make a second Verte Anaconda, or you make your first Verte Anaconda, and of course Dragoons is a spellcaster as well, you can easily make Quintet. Insane. Red Eyes Fusion for the standard play, and Polymerization to come off of the back of Keeper of Dragon Magic. I did consider Ultra Polymerization, but the issue was, unless you were going to search out off of Rod rather than Circle, search out your Quick Play Fusion, you weren't really going to be able to benefit from it too much, and even then you're bringing back a Dragon rather than bringing back anything else. The only other thing you'd be able to go into would be a second Dragoon, which in my opinion is a little bit overkill. I'd rather save that in a reserve, ready to go later on. So I kind of went with Poly in general. I just think it's a little bit safer, it's a little bit more standard. You could play the Ultra Poly Fusion sub if you wanted to as well. That will then allow you to recycle your extra deck. That could also let you recycle your Titaniclad as well. So that is another option for you. Dark Magic Inheritance is actually really important in this, because if you choose to go with the Keeper of Dragon Magic route, you're going to be putting, if you open up Keeper of Dragon Magic and another spell, and you don't have Eternal Soul or Circle, you kind of put 2 spells in your graveyard already, and the 2 spells you're not going to recycle and you're not going to want back. So Inheritance is actually quite important to banish them, get into the Circle or Eternal Soul or Soul Servant that you might need, and then kind of go from there. So it's actually quite important in this build. And then we've got triple Eternal Soul, standard, and the single Dogmatika punishment. If you wanted to cut Eternal Soul down to 2, you could do, and you'd put punishment up to 3, not up to 3, sorry, up to 2, just because it is that powerful. But then I would, you'd have to look at the extra deck, because the extra deck is a solid 15 right now, with a couple of little wiggle room spaces. So that's it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. So, of course, as you already saw, we're playing the 1 Quintet. All of your Dogmatikas are spellcasters. This is one of the very few Dark Magician decks that isn't Dark Magician Girl, that can pump out 5 spellcasters with different names. So if this is fusion summoned using 5 spellcasters with different names, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. This face-up card on the field cannot be attributed, nor used as fusion material. Also, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. So it's nice, nice, and nice, except the fact that it can be targeted. So it's like, you can't attribute this, can't be used as fusion material, can't be destroyed, but if it gets targeted, like Imperm, it all goes to... Anyway. We've then got double Dragoons. Because we are actually hard summoning Dragoons, you want to play multiples of it if you have them. You've got a Verte Anaconda target, you've got your Keeper of Dragon Magic target, and keep in mind, Keeper of Dragon Magic can add Magical Eyes Fusion, so you can make this easily twice at least, just through Keeper of Dragon Magic. Not to mention, you can obviously use it through Verte Anaconda. We've got the 1 Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, if you go heavy back row, and what I mean by heavy back row is you go with the Gozen match version, you go with the Dogmatika punishment version, and you go with Eternal Soul version, you've got to be wary that Harpy's Feather Duster now exists in the meta again. So you do have to be aware that this will become more protective for you than anything else. However, I still stand by the stance that Dragoons is the first fusion you should be going for, bar none. We then got the Dark Magicians. Rare that you actually use it, because again, like I said, in my opinion, right now, I would go for Dragoons first, then the Dark Magicians, then Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, or you would swap these two around depending on what you're facing against. We then got the one Titaniclad, literally just sending it with your Nadir Servant, and the one Ints, again, sending with Punishment or sending with Nadir Servant. For the Link monsters, we've got the one Verti Anaconda, the one IP Masquerena, the one Unduck the World Chalice, Scar Dragon, and then building into that, we are going into Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, Nightmare Unicorn, and Access Code. So Access Code is a backup boss monster that should your Dragoons get dealt with, should you be locked out of your Dragoons or anything like that, you can go into Access Code, and by the time you get into Access Code, you're at least going to have a Wind, a Dark, and a Light in the graveyard. So that's 3 pops, and he's going to gain 3k. The Nightmare Unicorn is just a disruption off of IP Masquerena. One thing that I have missed out of this, or left out of this, is the BLS Link 3. So the BLS Link 3 could easily go in here as well, because you do play a lot of monsters that are above a certain level. So if you wanted to take out Unicorn for the BLS, that is something that can easily be done as well. And then the final 2 cards is the Red Eyes Flare and the Abon Illusion. Rare that you're actually using these now, but the Flare is just one of those clutch cards that if it's in time or going into time, you can play Red Eyes Flare, let your opponent burn themselves out. And Abon, again, is just those situations. So again, if you wanted to take these out, you can do. You've got free real estate to be able to do that, and a bit of wiggle room in the extra deck. Like I said, if you wanted to wiggle on the extra deck, Quintet is one you could probably take out if you're not a huge fan of it. You'd probably take out Abon. I really don't want to. Like me personally, this always goes in my Dark Magician deck. It's like the first one on the sheet. And then you would take out your Unicorn. Definitely need Selene. Definitely need Unduct. Probably take out IP Masquerena if you really, really want to. But then the idea would be that you would then change your IP Masquerena into something else. So you do have a lot to kind of play around with. And a lot to give you a few options. So yeah, it's something for you to look into. It comes down to personal preference and what type of lineup you want to make. But Dragoons, Verti Anaconda, and of course, in my opinion, Selene are staples that must be played. Now, let's show you this 3-card combo. Very simple, I'm going to show you the one that you guys never ever want to see, but you probably will see more times than not, and that is if you open up the Rod and Keeper of Dragon Magic. Now, in this exact example, I'm going to go with Keeper of Dragon Magic because I've got Nadir. Now, if I've got Nadir or Ecclesia, you go Keeper of Dragon Magic because you get your Dragoons guaranteed, whereas Rod will not guarantee you that Dragoons. The Dragoons is just too important not to. So the idea on this one would be, you normal summon your Keeper of Dragon Magic, you send the Magician's Rod to the graveyard purely because sending Magician's Rod to the graveyard means you can trigger it during your opponent's turn when you activate Punishment, which then in turn allows you to add Rod back, which gives you the consistency of your normal summon during your next turn of getting Magician's Rod off, and Magician's Rod will then get you into a circle or an Eternal Soul, allowing you to loop the Dark Magician and circle while you're locked out of the extra deck. Easy as that. Anyway, so with discarding this, we're going to add our Polymerization. You're then going to use Keeper of Dragon Magic's second effect, and you're going to reveal your Red Eyes Dragoons, and you're going to be able to set your Dark Magician directly from the deck. Sorry, you need to get Dark Magician to the graveyard. I keep forgetting. Like, it's so good. Like, it's like I want you to set it from the deck, but I want you to set it from the but you don't. You set it from the graveyard. So you would need to discard the Dark Magician. Apologies on that one. But if you do have Rod in there, good to go. But ideally, your 3-card combo is something like this. You send the Dark Magician, you set the Dark Magician, off you go. You activate Polymerization, you turn Polymerization and Keeper of Dragon Magic into, of course, your Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. There we go. That's part 1 done. Now, your second part is where your Nadir Servant comes in. So you activate Nadir Servant, you send your Titaniclad. It's the first one you want to send, unless you're going Aggression and you're going second, then you send the Inst. But you send your Titaniclad, that goes to the graveyard. That is going to trigger in the end phase to add you your Philidius. You're then going to get to special summon your Ecclesia because you've got a monster special summon from the extra deck. She will then add you the Punishment because you've already got Titaniclad getting you your Philidius in the end phase, and then you're going to get your Philidius in the end phase. So you still have 2 more cards to play around with. If they're Circles, Eternal Souls or anything like that, you're good to go. Otherwise, you've still got a Disruption of this, which is going to be 2 pops. You'll still have a discard fodder for your Dragoons, and then you've still got the special summon of Philidius, and then Philidius is going to be able to negate something. Then during the next turn, you'll be able to draw a random card. Dragoons will then be able to pop 1, and then you've got your Ecclesia, and you've got your Philedius, and then if you did manage to get Rod in the graveyard when you activate punishment, you add in Rod back. So it's not like the most broken combo ever made. No, it's how do you make Dogmatika Dark Magician playable right now, this minute, without Genesis Impact? And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the best way of doing it, because the clash between the Rod and everything else, it just is too much. So you do have to play Keeper of Dragon Magic. You have to be able to hard summon into your Dragoons. And like I said, another option to make it easier to summon out the Dragoons would be to play the Chaos Engine. But then the Chaos Engine will require you to play more fusion spells, which means you'd probably be looking at playing stuff like a Fusion Gate. You'd be looking at playing stuff like Secrets of Dark Magic, and just any, like maybe even Swamp King. You would just need to focus on actually hard polying a lot more consistently than that. Anyway, that's it for the Dogmatika deck. I hope you liked it. I hope it's given you a couple of ideas on your own creative build to put together leading into Genesis Impact, where it does become a lot easier. Once Christian gets his build up, please go and check that out. It will give you a different angle as well on his particular thoughts and build. He did post something on Zodiac Duelist as well, which gave him a full outline of his particular thoughts towards this deck, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are like, right, okay, well, I want to build this. I don't know how to build this and how it actually works. So he's given you a couple of options, a couple of combos, and just some future, not investments, but future directions for that particular version of the deck. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Till next time, guys, as absolutely always, happy dueling.
Exclusively designed by Nixie Arts, we bring you our second exclusive mat with the colossal Rainbow Neos taking on Red Eyes Dragoon, using both Dark Magician and Red Eyes alongside Elemental Hero Neos and of course Rainbow Dragon. Produced by Venom Battle Gear, this is an exclusive mat only available from their site. You can get this mat both with and without zones, and it can be shipped worldwide. What are you waiting for? Visit venombattlegear.co.uk to get your own exclusive Rainbow Neos versus Red Eyes Dragoon playmat.